Hey, what's going on, everybody? Samuel the Kim here, and I'm back with another one. Today, I didn't get any questions. I'm pretty salty about that. I obviously didn't post it on Twitter, but last time I posted on Twitter, I didn't get a lot of questions either. Last time I posted on Instagram, I got a few questions, but I chose to just talk about my own topics today. We're going to cover some of the topics that I saw on social media this week, some things that interested me. The first thing I wanted to talk about is the Chiefs and the 49ers in the Super Bowl rematch of the 2020 Super Bowl. I can't even remember. Was that like Super Bowl 54, 55? One of those. Patrick Mahomes' first Super Bowl. It's going to be a great matchup. The games this weekend were amazing. The NFC Championship and the AFC Championship were amazing. The Lions, man. The Lions. I had honestly originally picked the Chiefs and the Lions. Ultimately picking Patrick Mahomes to win the Super Bowl. I'm still standing by that, obviously, because he's still in the tournament. But, man, the Lions, I respect the hell out of Coach Dan Campbell, because to be that type of person, to know that we like to go for it on two, to know that come hell or high water, we are going to go for two no matter what it looks like. He stuck with that, and you got to respect that. I respect it. I know obviously Lions fans are probably disappointed. I know some Lions fans are like, hey man, live by the sword, you die by the sword. That's what they did. But it kind of hurts when you had a 17-point lead at halftime, and then you see that dwindle in the third quarter, and then you see you guys lose the lead. You're behind by 3. You have a chance to tie it. You don't tie it. I mean, just a devastating way to lose. And then obviously Lamar Jackson. I was kind of split with the Chiefs-Ravens game. I would have loved to see Lamar Jackson to get to and win a Super Bowl, even to make it to the Super Bowl. I would have been happy because, I feel like this guy's been scrutinized his whole career. So many people have told him that he's not the prototypical quarterback. You can't win that way, this and that. He's won the Super Bowls, but can he win when it matters? He's 2-4, I think, in the playoffs, so that doesn't bode well for him. But man, just to see them crumble in the biggest moment, and obviously that Chiefs defense has been amazing this year. They've been the best they've been with Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid, the best defense they've had. But to have Lamar Jackson and them beat up on great teams all season, the Dolphins, the Bills, the Lions, the Seahawks. Obviously, the Seahawks didn't make the playoffs, but at the time, they were a pretty good team. They beat up on they didn't play the Cowboys, but they beat up on so many good teams this year. And then to see in the playoffs them struggle. Obviously, they beat up on the Texans in the second half, but the Chiefs, man, those first 2 drives, obviously, I think the Ravens got the ball first. They didn't score. The Chiefs got the ball. They scored. Then the Ravens got the ball and they scored. Maybe a drive or 2 later. It might have been the next drive. But it looked like it was going to be a pretty good game. And then, the Spagnola and that defense just were able to constrict Lamar and keep them, they didn't run the ball very, very much. I think they only ran it with running back 6 times. Lamar Jackson actually had the 4th longest reception of the game with that 13-yard reception that he threw and ended up catching. Just a crazy play, just a great, crazy turn of events. But it's tough not to see Lamar Jackson in the playoffs. It's tough. It's not tough to see Patrick Mahomes. I respect greatness. I'm an underdog guy, so whenever there's underdogs, that's why I was rooting for the Lions. That's why I was rooting for the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes. It's crazy to say that Patrick Mahomes is an underdog. He's probably one of the best quarterbacks we've ever seen, top 3 for sure. But I was rooting for the underdogs, so obviously I wanted the Lions to win. But, I respect the hell out of greatness. Lamar Jackson, great. Brock Purdy, been playing great. Patrick Mahomes, obviously great. I just want to see great players show that greatness on the biggest stage, and we get to see that week in and week out with the NFL. Obviously, it's pushing into NBA season. Like I said a couple weeks ago, my Thunder are doing very well. Once again, we don't have to get into that because they just lost to the Pistons, and I wasn't even going to talk about this. And me and my friend Nick, I always tell him, I don't watch a lot of Thunder basketball games because of the fact that they haven't been good. We lost KD. We lost Russ. We haven't been good since. We've had Shea, but we've been building. We got all these draft picks. What are we going to do with the draft picks? We've started to count. We've started to cash in on those draft picks. Chet Holmgren, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, Jalen Williams. We have 2 Jalen Williams. So the Jalen Williams that starts, Isaiah Joe, the sniper, Mr. Giddey, the point guard. We don't have to go down that, but just we have a great team. We have a great squad. I hope we are able to keep up the good play that we've been having, because it would be amazing to see my Thunder make a deep playoff run. I would love that. I would love that, especially because we don't have that many name brand players. Obviously, these guys right now are making names for themselves. Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, all-star starter over Curry, dog. Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, I already said Shea. Freaking Isaiah Joe, the shooter, the sniper. Freaking Jalen Williams, rising star. Everybody's playing great. I'm so excited for that. But outside of all those topics, I wanted to talk about First off, let's get into Bobby Hauck. Coach Hauck has signed a new 3-year deal with Montana. He's staying. That's great news. I know I had a question from a subscriber last week asking about Hauck and, what he was going to do. Well, we know now. And, basically the timeline you said, subscriber, I can't remember what your name was, but basically what you asked is lining up perfectly. Hauck didn't sign the deal. I guess he was waiting for some things to play out. Maybe he was interviewing for some other jobs. We don't know. But he signed back to Montana on a 3-year deal, hoping that they run it back this year, go get that championship. I would love to sit down with Hauck and just know what his mindset is going into this next season after last season. Obviously, he's 0-4 in the big game. That's what people want to hang on to. But Hauck is an amazing coach. I think he's a great leader of men. I think he knows how to get guys going. I've said all this all the time. I think Hauck is a great coach. The proof is in the pudding. Winning in college football is hard, and Coach Hauck says this all the time because I think it gets pushed over by people. I don't think people understand what he's saying when he says it. Yes, there are some really bad teams in the Big Sky Conference and the FCS level in general. Utah Tech, Northern Colorado, Northern Arizona. These are teams, obviously Montana lost to Northern Arizona. So that's exactly why Coach Hauck says winning in college football is hard. I think he's a great coach. I think he's done a great job. Hopefully we're able to see him win that national championship because I know that's the one thing he has to knock off his list. And there's something I've been saying that I believe to be true. I think if Hauck would have won the national championship this year, I think he would have retired or at least, gotten out of coaching or took another job. But Hauck has mentioned to the seniors all the time about how his legacy means a lot to him. He cares about his legacy. He loves the University of Montana. He loves the fan base. He loves everything about it. He's a Montana guy through and through, born in not Big Fork, but I think it's Bighorn, born in Bighorn, Montana. He's a Montana guy. He loves the University of Montana. He loves everything about it, and his legacy matters. So to me, I think he wants to win a national championship. I think that's the last thing he really wants to do in his career. He's won all the coaching awards. He's won all the Big Sky awards. He's done it all. He's seen it all. That national championship is something that he's been chasing since 2003, and I think he wants to get that on his resume. It would be great to see. I'm so glad he's coming back. Looks like we retained most of the coaching staff as well, if not all of the coaching staff. The big players are staying. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be amazing. Next topic. Okay, North Dakota State is losing their offensive coordinator when it seemed like he was going to stay. I think that's interesting. I would love to know how that's going to affect their players. I have a quote here, and I'll read it off to you guys. So let's see. It was announced on January 8th that Tyler Roll was elevated to NDSU's associate head coach along with his OC duties. He now takes that same role at Tennessee State. NDSU, by the way, hosts Tennessee State on September 7th. That is a quote from Sam Herder on X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it. I think that's interesting, especially he must have got offered more money or there must have been something going on with the coaching staff. There must have been a disagreement with the coaching staff or something. But for him to be able to turn down that associate head coach job, but decide not to return and instead go to Tennessee State, I think that's interesting. I think it's interesting. I think that could affect North Dakota State drastically. Obviously, they've been the staple, but now they've lost their head coach and they've lost their associate head coach, offense coordinator. So there's a lot of changes going on in North Dakota State. We will see as the years go on if that's good changes or bad changes. I just know that there's an effect to be had and to be felt when someone loses their offensive coordinator. We see it in the NFL all the time. Like Josh Allen, amazing season. And obviously Josh Allen is an amazing player, but Josh Allen had an amazing season. Then he loses his offensive coordinator. His next season is not as great. I think there's something to be said about the guy that's in your ear all the time, explaining to you how progressions work. There's somebody in your ear explaining to you, what we want to look for. There's a way guys call plays that might be different. There's just so many things that go into play calling and offensive football that could affect this team. And I have another quote from Sam Herder that I'll read for you. For those wondering, North Dakota State, this is from Stan Becton, who works with, I believe, the FCS, NCAA FCS. He does a lot of their content with them. He works with them. But for those wondering, North Dakota State players that aren't grads can't enter the transfer portal now that their OC left. The deadline was January 10th. NDSU potential offensive grad transfers, all seniors with 1 year of eligibility unless listed. Starters, Cam Miller, RB, TK Marshall, wide receiver, Rajah Nelson, 2 years plus a redshirt year. Tight end Joe Stoffel, fullback Hunter Brozio, center Brandon Westberg, left guard Mason Miller, 1 year plus a redshirt year. I wonder if Mason Miller is related to Cam Miller. I'd be interested to know. Anyway, then you got right tackle Gray Zabel, 1 year plus a redshirt year. So looks like they have a lot of players returning, but it's tough for them because, I'm sure a lot of them would have liked to jump in the portal if they would have known their offensive coordinator was leaving. Who knows? Maybe the guy they're bringing in is really good. Maybe they're hiring from within. I haven't seen who they've hired or if they have hired somebody, but I'd be interested to see how that plays out. It's going to be interesting to see what their team and offense looks like next year. I actually didn't know. I thought Cam Miller was done, but it's cool to see that he's returning, and we'll see how that plays out for him. I know he's a really good player. I'd like to see how he's able to perform under a different regime. Head coach, offensive coordinator is going to be interesting. Idaho. Let's talk about Idaho. Idaho just got Williams. I don't know his first name. I don't even have his first name on here, but Williams. They got their Idaho got Weber State's former, I think he's an All-American kick returner. He's a great player. Looks like Idaho was looking rough after, the season ended. They had a lot of good players enter the transfer portal. Giovanni McCoy. Obviously, they lost Hayden Hatton. I think they lost some really good players on defense as well. So they were a little gutted after the season ended. But it looks like they're, mounting up beautifully for next season. I don't know what they've done on the quarterback front. I know they had a pretty good freshman quarterback behind Giovanni McCoy this past season. He played in, I think, the Idaho State game, and he balled out. So I think they're going to be good. I think they're still a force to be reckoned with. I'd be interested to know what they're doing on the outside offensively in terms of their receiving core. I think their offensive line needs help as well. I know they lost their center pretty early on in the season, so that probably affected their offensive line play. They were humming prior to losing him. But I think they need to shore up their offensive line. I think the quarterback position is going to be a question. Obviously, they have a guy, but Giovanni McCoy was a difference maker, so it'll be interesting to see how they do on that front. But Idaho doing good in the transfer portal, picking up pieces, trying to recoup what they lost. It's going to be amazing to see. It's going to be a great season next year in the Big Sky. Montana State should be good. I don't know about Weber State. Montana should be good. Idaho should be good. I mean, I feel like there's a lot of toss-ups in the conference this year. I mean, the conference was decent last year. Obviously, we put 4 teams in the playoffs. Montana State, Idaho, and Sac State. Could have had 5. So I think you could say that the conference was pretty competitive. But I don't know how many of each team is returning all of their players. I don't know how each player is going to play. I don't know how each team is going to be next year. It's going to be interesting to see. I think there's a lot of question marks in the Big Sky. A lot of big names have left the conference. Obviously, Clifton McDowell is gone. Giovanni McCoy is gone. I think UC Davis lost their quarterback. I don't know about Caden Bennett. I know their freshman quarterback was pretty good. Caden Bennett might be done from Sac State, so that's going to be interesting. Montana State obviously has Tommy Malott, but they lost like 3 offensive linemen. I don't know offensively on the outside. I don't know about the running backs. They have a really good young running back, number 22. I'm blanking on his name right now, but I'm going to be doing a breakdown on him. He balled out. He has a lot of promise. He's going to be a really talented player for a long time. He reminds me a little bit of Isaiah Ifanse, but I think he has more speed than Isaiah Ifanse. Montana State fans can dispute that if you want. I think he's a really good player. I'm a fan of him. So, we'll see how that turns out. But the Big Sky is going to be interesting next year. The Big Sky is going to be very interesting. It's going to be cool to see who stakes their claim as the team to beat in the conference. It's going to be cool to see who stakes their claim as the team to beat in the country, because I think the Big Sky is one of the flagship conferences in the FCS football. So it's going to be cool. Hopefully it's my Montana Grizzlies, but there's a lot of good teams all over the country, so we'll see. I don't really have any more topics to talk about today. I talked about everything I really wanted to talk about. But one thing I wanted to ask you guys, and this is the best worst thing I saw last week. I think I've been doing the best thing I saw, the Cowboys. The best worst thing I saw, and this is a worst thing. Me and my fiance went to Winco the other day, and there was no cheese nips. And there's no cheese nips at Walmart. There's no cheese nips at Albertsons. There's no cheese nips at Fresh Market. There's no cheese nips at Orange Street Market. There's no cheese nips anywhere. I need answers. Where are all the cheese nips? Does nobody eat cheese nips? When I was growing up, I was always a cheese nip guy. Like, cheese nips were my thing. I always thought Cheez-Its were too salty. They, the flavor was a little too strong for me. Like, I need to taste the cheese, not the salt. I felt like in the Cheez-Its, you could taste more of the salt than the cheese. And the cheese nips, it was cheesy, the perfect amount of salt. Like, the flavor was really good. I really enjoyed cheese nips. I need cheese nips back. If anybody knows what happened to cheese nips, did they go out of business? Do they not even sell them anymore? Where are they at? Where can a guy find them? Because they are amazing, and I'm a huge fan, and I haven't had them for years. I think the last time I had them was like my freshman or sophomore year at Montana. It's been a while, and those are, I mean, they used to have them at Walmart, and I remember I bought them at Walmart, and I was like, cool, Walmart has these. I'm going to buy these now. And I think the next time I went to Walmart, they were gone. Like, they didn't even have them. So I'm pretty bummed about that. Somebody needs to fix that. It's a major problem that we have in our economy. Cheese nips need to come back. They need to return somehow, some way, and you guys should help me out, try to figure that out. But that's going to do it for my video today. I know it's a short video. I appreciate you guys for tapping in. Next week, if I have more questions to answer, this video will be longer. I appreciate you guys listening to me ramble on and talk every week. Thank you guys so much. Hit the like, hit the subscribe. Make sure to leave a comment. Tell me what you want me to talk about next week, and I'll see you guys next time.